So since I've wasted quite a lot of time today, due to whatever actually, it is 3:30. I am going to have to go to bed relatively early today. Also not going to be able to get outside, which is a pity, but it is what it is. Yeah, the day passed by really quickly, but I forced myself to record another episode, even though I do have quite a lot of episodes left laying around and being there for me to use when I need them. So therefore this is also only, quote unquote, going to be without a video and only audio. So yeah, a nice passage from Marcus Aurelius on handling criticism. Read this today and it really resonated with me, so wanted to share. Well, actually read this today then. If an action or utterance is appropriate, then it's appropriate for you. Don't be put off by other people's comments and criticism. If it's right to say or do it, then it's the right thing for you to do or say. The others obey their own lead, follow their own impulses. Don't be distracted. Keep walking, follow your own nature, and follow nature along the road they share. Meditations 5.3, translated by Gregory Hayes. Edit, incorrect book number fixed. Well, amazing. Yeah, I mean, let people talk. It is what it is. The 5 most important things to remember. The 5 remembrances are a Buddhist teaching that presents us with 5 subjects for contemplation. They go. The first one, I'm subject to aging. There is no way to avoid aging. The second, I am subject to ill health. There is no way to avoid illness. I am subject to death. There is no way to avoid death. Everyone and everything that I love will change, and I will be separated from them. My only true possessions are my actions, and I cannot escape their consequences, which is the last one. The first 3 are similar, essentially reminding you of your mortality, so memento mori. The 4th is a reminder of the impermanence of things, and simultaneously the premeditation of what is to come, premeditatio malorum. The 5th is a reminder of the dichotomy of control and how the only things that matter are in our control, or something like that, because I can't read it because we are on Reddit and I can't see the whole post there. Yeah, I gotta have to say that it is, quite some cool stuff and quite some good stuff. The thing is, well, can you avoid aging? Can you avoid illness? Well, avoiding is, definitely not avoiding. But you can really, really do a good job at trying to, stay healthy, quite. Therefore, you can avoid aging to some degree, and also illness to some degree. Of course, there's always going to be some situations in which you can't do so, and it is what it is and whatnot. But think about that. We can, to some degree, not fully, but to some degree. How should I handle this situation regarding my twin brother's girlfriend? My twin brother, 31, is currently dating a girl for 10 years who I cannot stand. She has cost him so many opportunities. Her family is really messed up and it has caused him problems. I've tried to explain loads of times that she is no good for him, but he won't listen. I feel bad for him. It breaks my heart because I know deep down he's unhappy, but too proud to admit it. Any advice appreciated. Thank you. It is a really tough situation to be in. And especially considering that they are twin brothers and therefore having, maybe the same taste and just, quite some similarities. And so, first of all, it is a really interesting situation to be in since, they're twins, but they are not seeing it the same way. And it is differences in being a twin. You know what I mean? On the other hand, it is maybe they indeed are seeing the same thing, but there is something going on which makes the other one, the one with the girlfriend, thinking and believing and feeling like he shouldn't break up with this person. Well, anyway, let's see what the comments are saying. He's an adult. Ultimately, it's up to him, and you have to accept that. Incidentally, I'm a twin. go twins and was in this situation decades ago, but was the one in a bad relationship and didn't listen. Do you wish someone helped you? They did, but wouldn't listen. It's very hard to see your situation for what it is when love is involved. Had to learn and make those mistakes on my own. Hopefully your twin doesn't have 2 kids with her like I did. Not yet. He's bought a house and they're engaged, but he is miserable. I'm thinking of just saying him and having him thank me later. Of just saving him, not saying, sorry. Twins know better than normies. I trust your judgment. Even this is the thing. I mean, like, this is what I thought about it. Like, they are twins and they probably know. You know, as dumb as it may sound, but anyway. A serious intervention should be your last resort, and after that, he's responsible for his own woes. In the end, yeah. In the end, you just can't do something about it. It is what it is. But, yeah, it is what it is in the end. Like, one has to live with that, even though it is a fucked up thing to see that one of your loved ones is hurting him or herself. Application of perseverance versus kindness. Recommended books related to stoicism. Well, I gotta have to read today as well. I do want to do so many things today, but I fucked up a bit. I really, really, really did, unfortunately. The meaning of life. No, this is too... I built a death clock necklace. It reminds me that my time is limited. It sounds so strange, but I think it is a cool thing. Any music, this is actually a good one. Any music that really has stoic and peaceful lyrics. I really like One More Road to Cross from DMX about living in the present, even though it is about crime and he's a rapper. I like Tupac too. Any other songs from these guys or other similar rappers who have deep stoic lyrics in their songs? What are your favorite songs outside rap? Well, why do they say there's a comment even though there is none? Can someone please give some advice on pure anger towards a family member? But there is no comment. Unfortunate thing, a lesson from the death of a loved one. Walking away when being bullied. Just fail the college quiz and feel mostly fine thanks to the sub. How to cope with the idea of being sick. I'm a physician and I've been on the front line of the pandemic for a while on a third world country with little resources and a lot of stress. Recently I had a breakdown and attempted suicide. I've been ignoring the fact that I might be depressed, but now on a constant vigilance, taking pills, it all strikes me. I'm sick, unable to return to my job. I sincerely don't know how to deal with this. It is a fucked up situation, and I can see that there is a lot of pressure. Trying to do your best, going for the pandemic, and then, doing something against it, and trying your best, and, being in a situation probably that, where you're not seeing progress that quickly or that much. But I kind of also wouldn't confuse the fact that you're having this job, this particular duty to do, with, being unhealthy and or being sick mentally. I mean, this is these are things that don't have anything to do with each and another. So yeah, go for a therapist, do something about it, and then your life is going to be better. Probably long term as well, something to really have in mind. Reading suggestions for overwhelming grief. TW suicide. I don't know what TW tempted towards suicide. I'm 26 female, grappling with the death of a close friend. He had an incredibly difficult life and made the call that he was done here. I respect his autonomy, but he's put me in a difficult position because only his brother and I know it was a suicide. Part of me really resents him for posthumously letting me in on this secret. I can't say anything to anyone in my life because life insurance payouts are evolved, which is a fucked up thing then. I've lost a really disappropriate number of people in my life to suicide, and it tends to come in cluster, going to the Zoom funeral, which is strange by the way, but well, we'll make 14 suicide-related funerals I've been to total. I lost an uncle less than a month ago, a mentor a year ago. This one This is one of the most horrifying realizations that I just had. I don't think there has been a calendar year in my adult life where I haven't lost someone to suicide. Like, your life is a bummer when your therapist says, you just really can't seem to catch a break. Yeah, it really tremendously is. And I mean, it just once again shows what suicide can do to people. And that even though it might seem like a way for oneself to make things easier, it is very selfish, quite. Which, I mean, it is difficult to think about just not being selfish if every day you feel like it's enough and you want it to end. Like, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, of course, it is selfish. Well, I didn't think about that. It's like, I don't care. I'm sick. Don't want to care with this anymore. Don't want to have to deal with this anymore. And then of course, and obviously it is difficult to think outside the box. Well, maybe one does, but certainly doesn't really give a fuck about that, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, let's see what the comments are saying. Oh, I haven't actually read the whole one. Digging into Stoics has helped me before. Daily practice, fear setting, and all that, but I'm just so exhausted. I'm trying to feel my feelings fully and let them roll off when I feel ready. But I can't seem to find enough time to catch my breath between tragedy, If anybody has a Stoic reading suggestion or general wisdom about this awful subject, I'd love some guidance. I could really go for a big, dense text to gravel with for a bit. And this is something that I had to think about as well. I tend to, and I think we all do, we all seek escapism, but I tend to really, really, really do a lot of things just to keep me busy, so that I don't have to think about things. And sometimes also so that I don't have to deal with things that I don't want to deal with, whatever it might be. But I mean, yeah. This is not easy. And so I kind of think about whether it makes sense to do so, whether it makes sense to... I mean, it certainly gives you a break if you're able to just think about something else and get away from there. But I don't know if this subconsciously does something to you in terms of, helping you to cope with this particular thing, whatever it might be in the end. It's difficult to say. It's difficult to decide, essentially. Well, let's have a look. I'm sorry for your loss. Vicky saws more letters to Lucilius, letter 63. Maybe I'm actually going to read this one. Insane to hear the amount of suicides. Maybe this could happen, as it puts you into the first-hand account of someone surviving a concentration camp. Victor Frankl, Man Search for Meaning. Yeah, it's a really good book. Definitely Frankl. That book changed my life also. Maybe Cicero's Tusculum, the fifth. It's Cicero's On the Good Life by Penguin, which there's a spelling mistake. He wrote it while grieving his daughter's death and spending time researching the different philosophy schools for the best way to deal with grief. Sorry for all that you have been through. Yes, that book is amazing. Is it ridiculous how much of a role our brain plays in survival? If we have no hope, it seems we have a bigger chance of dying. Yeah, this is a fucked up thing, and also things to look forward to. No matter how far they might seem to be away, it's like, I don't know, like have something to look forward to, whatever it might be, something small, like even if it is a meal, even if it is just some series. Actually, I thought about it and I kept it in mind, like start a series, start watching something, a movie, or just don't do it in a way that is wasting your time. But I think it is an easy way to have something to look forward to. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna watch this new episode. Looking forward to that. It's making me happy. Something like that. Like, this is what I'm thinking about. I don't have something similar, but I certainly thought about it. Also playing games, like, I don't know, if you just have 20 or 40 minutes a day of relaxing and trying to, keep you down and stuff, then that's fine. Like, why shouldn't it be? But let's read this letter. Well, it is fairly long. What's the time? 16 minutes. Well, anyway, it is. I just want to do it. I'm grieved to hear that your friend Flaccus is dead, but I would not have you sorrow more than is fitting. That you should not mourn at all, I shall hardly dare to insist, and yet I know that it is the better way. But what man will ever be so blessed with that ideal steadfastness of soul, unless he has already risen for above the reach of fortune? Even such a man will be stung by an event like this, but it will be only a sting. We, however, may be forgiven for bursting into tears, if only our tears have not followed to excess, and if we have checked them by our own efforts. Let not the eyes be dry when we have lost a friend, nor let them overflow. We may weep, but must not wail. Which was the first paragraph, I guess. The second is, do you think that the law which I lay down for you is harsh, when the greatest of Greek poets has extended the privilege of weeping to one day only, in the lines where he tells us that even Niobe took thought of food? Do you wish to know the reason for lamentations and excessive weeping? It is because we seek the proofs of our bereavement in our tears, and do not give way to sorrow, but merely parade it. No man goes into mourning for his own sake. Shame on our ill-timed folly. There is an element of self-seeking even in our sorrow. The third, what do you say? Am I to forget my friend? It is surely a short-lived memory that you vouchsafe to him. It is to endure only as long as you grieve. Presently, that brow of yours, brow, brow of yours, will be smoothed out in lather by some circumstance, however casual. It is to a time no more distant than this that I put off the soothing of every regret, the quieting of even the bitterest grief. As soon as you cease to observe yourself, the picture of sorrow which you have contemplated will fade away. At present you are keeping watch over your own suffering, but even while you keep watch, it slips away from you, and the sharper it is, the more speedily it comes to an end. Let us see to it that the recollection of those whom we have lost become a pleasant memory to us. No man reverts with pleasure to any subject which he will not be able to reflect upon without pain. So too, it cannot be the same. The names of those whom we have loved and lost come back to us with a sort of sting, but there is a pleasure even in this sting. For as my friend Attalus used to say, the remembrance of lost friends is pleasant in the same way that certain fruits have an agreeably acid taste, or as in extremely old wines, it is their very bitterness that pleases us. Indeed, after certain lapse of time, every thought that pain is quenched, and the pleasure comes to us unalloyed. If we take the word of Attalus for it, to think of friends who are alive and well is like enjoying a meal of cakes and honey. The recollection of friends who have passed away gives a pleasure that is not without a touch of bitterness. Yet who will deny that even these things, which are bitter and contain an element of sourness, do serve to arouse the stomach? For my part, I do not agree with him. To me, the thought of my dead friends is sweet and appealing, for I have had them as if I should one day lose them. I have lost them as if I have them still. Therefore, Lucilius, act as befits your own serenity of mind, and cease to put a wrong interpretation of the gifts of fortune. Fortune has taken away, but fortune has given. Let us greedily enjoy our friends, because we do not know how long this privilege will be ours. Let us think how often we shall leave them when we go upon distant journeys, and how often we shall fail to see them when we tarry together in the same place. We shall thus understand that we have lost too much of their time while they were alive. But will you tolerate men who are most careless of their friends and still mourn them most abjectly, and do not love anyone unless they have lost him? The reason why they lament too unrestingly at such time is that they are afraid lest men doubt whether they really have loved. All too late, they seek for proofs of their emotions. If we have other friends, we surely deserve ill at their hands and think ill of them if they are of so little account that they fail to console us for the loss of one. If on the other hand, we have no other friends, we have injured ourselves more than fortune has injured us. Since fortune has robbed us of one friend, but we have robbed ourselves of every friend whom we have failed to make. Again, who has been unable to love more than one, has had none too much love even for that one. If a man who has lost his one and only tunic through robbery chooses to bewail his plight rather than look about him for some way to escape the cold or for something with which to cover his shoulders, would you not think him an utter fool? You have buried one whom you loved. Look about for someone to love it. It is better to replace your friend than to weep for him. Is it really? I don't know. I've lost the line, fuck. What I'm about to add is, I know, a very hackneyed remark, but I shall not admit it's simply because it is a common phrase. A man ends his grief by a mere passing of time, even if he has not ended it of his own accord. But a most shameful cure for sorrow, in the case of a sensible man, is to grow weary of sorrowing. I should prefer you to abandon grief rather than have grief abandon you, and you should stop grieving as soon as possible, since even if you wish to do so, it is possible to keep it up for a long time. Our forefathers have enacted that, in the case of women, a year should be the limit for mourning, not that they need to mourn for so long, but that they should mourn no longer. In the case of men, no rules are laid down, because to mourn at all is not regarded as honorable. For all that, what women can you show me of all the pathetic females that could scarcely be dragged away from the funeral pyre or torn from the corpse whose tears have lasted a whole month? Nothing becomes offensive so quickly as grief when fresh. It finds someone to console it and attracts one or other to itself. But after becoming chronic, it is ridiculed, and rightly, for it is either assumed or foolish. He who writes these words to you is no other than I, who wept so excessively for my dear friend Aeneas, that in spite of my wishes I must be inclined among the example of men who have been overcome by grief. Today, however, I condemn this act of mine, and I understand that the reason why I lamented so greatly was chiefly that I have never imagined it possible for his death to precede mine. The only thought which occurred to my mind was that he was the younger, and much younger too, as if the fates kept to the order of our ages. Therefore, let us continually think as much about our own mortality as about that own mortality as about that of all those we love. In former days I ought to have said, my friend Aeneas is younger than I, but what does that matter? He would naturally die after me, but he may precede me. It was just because I did not do this that I was unprepared when fortune dealt me the sudden blow. Now is the time for you to reflect, not only that all things are mortal, but also that their mortality is subject to no fixed law. Whatever can happen at any time can happen today. Let us therefore reflect, my beloved Lucilius, that we shall soon come to the goal which this friend to our own sorrow has reached, and perhaps, if only the tale by wise men is true, and there is a born, B-O-U-R-N-E, to welcome us, then he whom we think we have lost has only been sent on ahead. Farewell.